Hello, and welcome to this discussion on captive insurance company domiciles. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about offshore captive domiciles. My name is Jared Beck, Managing Director at Risk Management Advisors, and I'm excited to share my insights with you. When it comes to forming a captive insurance company, domicile selection is always one of the first things that comes up. And it's a very important decision, and it's a sometimes fun discussion item, figuring out where you're going to put your captive insurance company. And with the proliferation of U.S. states establishing captive enabling laws, a lot of the attention over the last few years has gone to onshore captive domiciles. And there are tons of good ones. But it's important not to lose sight of the great offshore domiciles. And specifically today, I want to focus on the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands is one of the world's top domiciles. As of end of year 2023, they had 683 captives, and they were writing a whopping 57 billion in annual premium. Historically, it's been the #1 domicile for the healthcare industry to go to set up their captive insurance company programs. However, with, again, that recent focus on domestic jurisdictions, it's allowed for some misconceptions to creep in about the captives that are being set up in this Caribbean nation. So what I want to do is take the format of dispelling some of the biggest myths that I hear when we have discussions with potential clients, potential prospective captive owners about setting up captives offshore and specifically in Cayman. So myth number one is that offshore captive jurisdictions are loosely regulated. So some perceive that offshore domiciles like Cayman have lax regulation and oversight of their captive insurance companies. And while there are some loosely regulated offshore domiciles, this could not be further from the truth in the Cayman Islands. It has long been a leader in instituting rigorous standards for captive formations and operations. Their insurance laws and regulations are among, frankly, the most robust in the world. All captives have to be licensed and comply with their capitalization, reporting, and corporate governance requirements, and it's all overseen by the well-respected Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. In many ways, I would say, the regulation there is more solid and, in some ways, a greater oversight than, perhaps some of the more loosely regulated domestic domiciles. So second to none regulation in the Cayman Islands. So myth number two that we hear a lot when discussing offshore jurisdictions is that all offshore domiciles are tax shelters. And so many assume that the leading offshore domicile, captive domiciles like Cayman, are simply offshore havens used to avoid taxes. And while, again, that may be, true for some, jurisdictions in Cayman, that's simply could not be further from the truth. This jurisdiction has a robust know your customer requirement. All the captives owned there by U.S. companies typically end up making the 953D election to be taxed as a U.S. taxpayer. And in many cases, failure to file the 953D election and file a U.S. tax return with your Cayman captive tends to lead in financial results that are worse than simply making that election in the first place. So it's very, very punitive to not be transparent with the tax situation and your tax filings with a Cayman captive. Further, and perhaps most telling, is that 70% of the business written in this jurisdiction is focused around medical malpractice liability, workers' compensation, general liability, and property insurance. 4 very common coverages that are big expense items for large and medium-sized companies. And these captive owners in the Cayman Islands are looking to use captives to lower their cost or recoup underwriting profit on those lines of coverage. So it's motivated by a strong desire to have a better insurance program, a better risk management program. So myth number 3. Many businesses assume that captives are only viable for major corporations. But the truth is, captives can benefit companies of all sizes and industries by helping them customize their risk management strategy. It is true that historically, back in the day, captives used to be for publicly traded companies, Fortune 500 companies, very large organizations. And that certainly is still true. But more and more, we're seeing middle market companies of all sizes, of all industries, utilize captives And the Cayman Islands can be a great place to do this. So whether you're a small business, mid-sized firm, tightly held group, or joint venture association, a good captive manager can design an ideal captive program, and Cayman Islands is a great domicile to consider when you're looking to set up a program. So for our part, when you form a captive with RMA in the Cayman Islands, you can be confident that you're going to meet all the regulatory mandates and best practices. We have over 30 years of experience. Our captive managers live and operate our program there, and we have an unparalleled understanding of their insurance framework. For a well-regulated, transparent captive program, the Cayman Islands offers a premier offshore destination. You can find us at www.riskmgmtadvisors.com. And if you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.